All right, and we're live. I think we're live. Oh, there we go. I'm getting echo. Let me mute the Twitch. Hi, everyone. All right, I have to speak a little quietly today because there's two people in this one-bedroom apartment right now. So I'm trying to be respectful of the other occupant. And Angel right now is trying to install kubectl. Is that right?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
All
just
right,
to make
cool.
sure everybody on the stream can hear everyone, just let us know in the chat if you can't hear us. Either myself or Angel. Right now, we're battling kubectl on Angel's laptop. But anyway, should we recap what's been happening the past two parts?
Yeah, sure. Would you like me to do that, or
Yeah,
do you
why
want
not?
Yeah. Yeah, so we started off in part one of an intended series, uh, configuring a pipeline to be able to grab secrets from a secrets management tool, such as, well, from HashiCorp Vault. And we were successful in part one in creating secrets in Vault, and then having the pipeline grab some credentials, which are username password type, like the old school type credentials for Docker Hub. And the pipeline would built the Docker image and then submitted that, grabbed the credentials from Vault, and then was able to upload or push the newly created image up to Docker Hub from the pipeline. So that was a lot of fun. Then the last time we got together was part two, and that at that point we had plans to do the next phase, which was basically be able to build a job in the pipeline then grab the Google Cloud Platform (GCP) credentials from Vault again using an app role, which I was very new to, and Rosemary was kind enough to walk me through that, and we were successful then. So our goal was always to have show kind of the credentials being uh, recovered from or grabbed from Vault, and then the end result was going to be deploying a new application or a new release from the pipeline using those credentials that we were retrieving from Vault into a active Kubernetes cluster. Does that
Yeah,
sound correct?
that
All
is
right, that was
indeed
our plan.
correct. If
So we
you
are.
want part two, part one, and part two, they're in the chat. So
Oh, nice.
that's, yeah. So if anybody wants to go back and watch us for 4 hours, attempt to deploy on a Friday, feel free. There's some fun introductory stuff that we talked about. We recapped the configuration for CircleCI. We talked about timeouts. We talked about Vault Agent. We talked about Vault App Role. So today, I don't think we're going to recap too much on app role or agent or CircleCI config per se. Our hope is that we can deploy to Kubernetes with our setup that we have. In theory, Vault should have injected Kubernetes credentials for us. So we should be able to basically deploy our application to Kubernetes. And the other great part about this is that we're actually going to be using Terraform to deploy the application to Kubernetes. So this will kind of give us a way to parameterize the things we want and the things we need. The only struggle right now is that we want to get Kubernetes locally. But I guess I
Yeah.
could share it on my laptop. It just, you'll see our video screen get really small because I changed my screen to 4K. So
Yeah, so I generally run Linux, or do all my kind of work on a Ubuntu box, but yeah, I use Mac because of the capabilities, especially the media capabilities and stuff. So I generally don't. I usually shell out into a server I have here running locally or a laptop. But so my box isn't quite set up, and Rosemary was showing me that the Docker desktop in Mac has the capability to stand up a local Kubernetes cluster, and that's kind of the bottleneck we're at right now. But should we go with sharing your screen, or should
Yeah,
we?
let's share my screen. I will
Okay.
warn everyone that our faces will be very small.
Yeah, that's okay.
Our faces will be very, very small. So apologies to everybody involved. You know, you may find yourself uh,
That's all right.
staring a little bit at our tiny faces. 1 second. Okay. All right. So you should see, everybody should see my Chrome, and you can see that we are very small over here. If anybody knows how to get Zoom to increase this thumbnail size here, I would appreciate it. I'm on a different resolution again. So
It looks pretty good to me.
yeah, because it's on your laptop, because I'm sharing to you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So what I'm actually going to briefly show is that we actually have a public vault instance. I did talk about how we set it up, how we configured it, but just to recap really quickly, we have a secrets kind of key value store complete with all of our pipeline credentials in here, including Docker Hub. This allows us to deploy our application image to Docker Hub. We also have a pipeline. As you can see here, right now we've got a failed pipeline because we just added the Docker Hub credentials. So I'll actually run the pipeline and we'll talk a little bit about what it's supposed to do. Let me just loading. There we go. All right. And also, previous episodes have shown that we had some issues with the time to live. So I have increased the time to live so that I don't have to renew it anymore. For those who were curious about how I increased the time to live, I actually did it through a Terraform configuration, a Terraform vault configuration. So I used Terraform to configure vault. So there's a lot of Terraform configuring things today and
I
previously.
like your style.
I know. Well, it was like we had to do this, 3 times?
Yeah.
And what did someone joke that this was like the end of the Star Wars saga or something?
No, yeah, my coworkers are like, what are you, part three? What are you doing? It's like, yeah, well, all good movie series, I guess. The end with three, right? So
Yeah.
this will be awesome.
Yeah. So here we go. As you can tell, this is basically the first part of the pipeline, which is to vault auth. So in summary, what it's doing is that it has a vault app rule. It authenticates to vault, receives a token. The token allows it to retrieve some secrets. So as you can see here, we've got vault, we've got GCP, we've got some other things here. And you can see that it stopped, it finished. It means that everything's been retrieved. And at this point, it should be pushing to Docker Hub. So that's where you see this big command here, Docker login. So it's going to push everything to Docker Hub. If this refreshes today. Just waiting for the prequels. Someone said, what would our prequels be? I don't feel like this we did jump right into CircleCI and Vault pretty quickly, right?
That's where we just show you how to stand up like a legit physical server that I have sitting here in the corner. So, you know, open it up and
That's so funny.
yeah, we could do that. Pre Docker, pre all that good stuff.
All right, so you notice that our pipeline has passed at last, yay. And we also have this second part, which is now deploy to K8s. Now, we didn't actually deploy to Kubernetes yet. This is just setting up the credentials to do so. And the way that this works in particular is that it retrieves the information from basically from the Vault GCP secrets engine. It authenticates to GCP, right, specifically, and this particular service account that we've created through the Vault GCP secrets engine, this was in part 2, actually gives it a new service account every time. So there's a new service account every time. The service account has limited access. It has developer access to our Kubernetes cluster. So what we have here is basically we've retrieved these credentials. So as you can see, we did kubectl version. You'll notice that now it's been kind of dispatched here. So you'll see that now it's authenticated to the GKE cluster, the Google Kubernetes cluster that we have. So that's pretty much all we got to, but this didn't really do what we were intending, which was to deploy to the Kubernetes cluster, this Node.js CircleCI app, right? All right, so let's actually see if we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let me. I guess we we had some. I know you had some pretty cool Terraform in the project, right?
Yes.
For deployment. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, let me
There
see
was
actually if I
plenty.
can live share to you this time. Because every time I try to
Yeah.
you live share to me, it didn't work. But then for some
Yes.
reason, maybe if I live share to you, it's fine.
All right.
Okay, it says suggested contacts. Invite by email. How do I? All right, start collaboration session. Oh, everyone's now going to see my GitHub. All right, that's fine. Allow. Okay, it's thinking. Open
That's
VS Code.
some time.
Open.
That's a nice feature in that VS Code. I like it.
Yeah.
I you I knew it was there, and I think you were the first one that I tried to use it with, and it didn't work. But I did successfully use it with someone shortly. But yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think I have like 50 things running on my machine right now, which also probably isn't
Yep.
helping the current circumstances. Ooh. Okay.
You see, did I get an invite?
I don't think you got an invite. Let me
No.
send it to you by Slack, and then you should be able to join.
All right. Let's see. Miss Rosemary.
I would put this in the Twitch, but the last time I did that, that didn't work either. So we're not going to try that.
Well, yeah, I'm actually logged into Twitch. All right, let me give this a shot.
All right. So while Angel's trying to join, what we actually have in this repository is a lot of Terraform. There's the Vault Terraform configuration. So this was all configuring Vault with Terraform. This is all in Vault Terraform. So if you want to look back at that and you want the full explanation, definitely check out part 2, which we included. But the thing we're going to focus on today is actually this Kubernetes deployment, Terraform over here. As you can tell, these are not something that we should have right now. Nothing has been set. We didn't actually do anything with them. I sort of put some boilerplate in there. It's nothing that's too sort of specific to the application we have. So basically, I need Angel's help to fill in the blanks for this application because I don't know what ports it's running on.
Yeah, so five. Yeah, good question. We can
Yeah,
look
we
here.
don't know what ports. We don't know what
Yeah.
image we should be using. I mean, it's a whole situation.
Yeah. So the port, if you go into app.js,
Okay.
it's 5,000.
Okay, so let's
So yeah,
confirm
80. I guess you
that
would
first.
forward it from 80 to. I usually forward 80 just because it's a demo to 5,000, or you can change it to whatever you like.
Okay, so this is 5,000 there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that you'll see here is that it's Terraform files. What we're using in this particular subset of Terraform files are the Kubernetes provider configurations. So as you can see here, there's some backend remote stuff that we have. I'm going to take this out for now. We don't really need it right now. So I'm going to take that out for a second. But you'll see we are using Terraform 0.12.24. We're also using the Kubernetes provider. I don't actually know if this is the latest Kubernetes provider or not. So I'm going to comment this version out for the provider just because I'm curious if maybe there's a new update. But generally, I put a little version there, so I pin it. Angel, have you used the Kubernetes provider before?
For Terraform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Well, actually, yes. For the first time this past week, yes, I was using it, and I built. Yes, so it's funny, but I the reason why I say that is I thought it was more involved, but it's a lot easier than I expected it to be. But it has different pieces, right? So you have the Kubernetes provider is usually what to define which system you want to attach to, like a cluster, and then you have other components to it, right?
Yeah.
Which is like the deployments provider, right? Service provider.
Yeah. And I guess it's Kubernetes is a big ecosystem, right? So some
Yep.
people, some people might just choose to use YAML, Kubernetes YAML, in which case you'll see sort of like the more traditional YAML file in Kubernetes where you have the pods, you have everything else. But you can also use Helm, which is basically going to render parameters out to the YAML files. If you check out Terraform Helm, which is the operator the Terraform operator for Kubernetes Helm chart, for example, you'll see what I mean by it renders the parameters into the YAML. In this case, we're using Terraform because maybe sometimes you do have things that you want to declare in Terraform, or in the particular Kubernetes provider here, maybe you have some parameters you have from other cloud providers that you want to be able to pass in. So these could be things that are important for DNS. They could be important for ingress. They can be important for other sort of administrative or monitoring tooling that you're putting into a Kubernetes cluster. You don't maybe want to use, you don't have any other way of maybe retrieving that information, so you just use Terraform to interpolate that information in. So those are are there any other options that you can think of to deploy things to Kubernetes?
No, I mean, yeah, for me, it's either Terraform or, the YAML manifests, right?
Yeah.
That it requires. Yeah, but I like the Terraform option. And the reason is, when you're using like a tool like Kubernetes and YAML files, I think having it, the YAML is a data structure, right? So basically, there's not very much you could do with it as far as injecting, kind of logic into it. Whereas with Terraform, you have that capability, like you said, to kind of query some other bits or other Terraform variables and stuff like that, and then inject, right, and make it more dynamic. So it brings a little bit of lot of flexibility to creating the required bits, like for a deployment. Instead of just having hard-coded YAML, or even maybe having a script to generate it, you have this capability here, which that's why I found it very useful when I started playing with the deployments resource. For Kubernetes, I had some variables that I want to pull out of CI/CD, and it makes it a lot easier to do if you deploy it using like I said, the resources for the Kubernetes TF. Yeah.
Interesting. So wait,
YAML.
what parameters do you pull out of CI, like out of CircleCI, that you would maybe inject into Kubernetes?
Yes. So like if I wanted to name a label and tie it into a deployment, tie it into like maybe a commit for a resource.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a commit for a release. I could get the SHA and have that as a label, right?
Okay.
And inject that. Otherwise, I'd have to write some. Yeah. You could tackle that problem a couple different ways. But then, you have Terraform is tracking as well, right? That release to a point. So yeah, for me, it's a little bit more just metadata type, like, that I like to keep dynamic and fluid and not have to keep injecting, things like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, for me, the Terraform deployment provider with the metadata pieces definitely helps, injecting. I can grab information.
Interesting. So I think we're going to need to use that pattern today, right? We need a way to inject the image because I think the image has the SHA in it, commit SHA in it, correct?
It does. Okay. Well, on Docker Hub, yeah, but I mean the image is pretty standard. Mm-hmm. But you could try that with what do you call it? Environment variables in the CircleCI. So it has like a project. That's what I use. So if we look, am I able to control this a little bit?
Oh yeah, you should be able to. You can click through.
What I wanted to do is bring up. Let's see if I can.
Hold on.
No worries.
Oh, you know what? Let me just grant you. This is the dangerous one. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
I won't mess up your code, I promise.
Oh, come on. Again? I feel like every time I update Mac, it does something else.
That's what I had last time.
Okay. All right. I think it's okay now. All right, go. All right, cool. You should give it a try. Waiting to control screen. Yeah, I think you have access. There you go. We're good. It is working.
It's just slow. So if you bring up, I'm trying to bring up the files there. There's the config file for Circle. If you could bring that
Oh
up, that'd
yeah,
be good.
sure. I can bring that up. There we go. There we are.
Awesome.
I am.
Yeah.
This is very slow today. Oh goodness
Yeah.
gracious! I think I'm running too many things.
That's okay. We're almost there. Well, if you can open that file for me, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I can look at it through that lens. Okay. Yeah. So if we did it go down to where we build the image? I just forget what the naming pattern
This
is.
one,
Yeah.
right?
So
Image
so
name.
here's some. Yeah. If you go up scroll up, there you go. So there's some tagging that's going on. Then I grab the CircleCI. So I'm using the CircleCI build number here. In another project, I use the shop. But anyway, so I use the project name. So if you look at the end where you would do the Docker build command, there is the image name, right? So it's my Docker login, which is part of the secret, the username.
Yep.
And then which isn't that secret, but we can still
we pulled it from
leverage
Vault.
that. Exactly. And then we can leverage all these environment variables. So if we were to grab we would have to pass that on then, right? Because the tag is
okay. So this is what we would pass into Kubernetes. We'd pass the tag, probably the image name, basically anything parameterized here.
Right. And if we go to Docker Hub, you could probably just pull up Docker Hub and find it right there. I can show you.
Okay.
It's a public repo.
Let me pull that up. hub.docker.com. Let's see. Oh, the interwebs are slow today. There's something probably running on my machine that is causing the heartache. Okay. All right. So, what is the...
just type ARIV number 3, RA. So A Rivera with 3 instead of an E. And then, you should, there you go. And then just
RA / what is a node?
I think it's Node.js -- CircleCI. There it is. The second one in the list.
There we go. So, tags. There we go.
The last one.
15 minutes ago. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
All right. So for now, we'll hard code-ish this, but let's fix up this Kubernetes deployment first. So for those who are more or less familiar with Kubernetes, Kubernetes has a construct called a deployment. The deployment basically says how many instances of containers and volumes you will require for this particular application. If you're doing a YAML, the YAML looks something like this. Basically, it says, here's Nginx. I require 3 instances of Nginx, and this is the container image I plan on using. So overall, that in some ways is just the declaration of what you're expecting from the system. So what we're going to do is mimic this in Terraform. So as you see, we've got the Terraform. And in this case, the Terraform has one replica. It looks fairly similar, it's just not in YAML. And we have the same image. Maybe we have a liveness probe in here. So we have a couple of other parameters, but for the most part, it's effectively the same logic.
And that's because you were deploying an Nginx image, right? The example. That's why I hate, or not hate, but I get annoyed with some of these examples, not from HashiCorp, but a lot of folks just grab and cut. And it's like, no one's really using Nginx in that. I don't think, right? If you're deploying to Kubernetes, because
I don't know. I'm waiting for someone in chat to tell me that someone's using Nginx like this.
Yeah. So maybe we should think about, and you know what? I should stop being lazy and do a pull request to some of these docs and just give a good reason why, because no one does this.
No, yeah. Well, it's a simple example, and then we're going to borrow it and build on it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. But a lot
So,
of times we grab it from other places, and then we never really
yeah,
update it to be realistic. It's just a docs thing. It's a pet peeve of mine, but
yeah, it
oh
is.
well.
Well, it's hard. Example apps are hard. So,
Yes, they
maybe.
are. Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
So the first thing we talked about was updating the image. This is not the image that we're looking for, right? So we're going to try to maybe. You did mention that you prefer to pass in the image name dynamically, right? So through the pipeline. So maybe we want to put this as a variable.
Um, yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, sure. The thing is, the tag will be different. So if we just use latest for the example today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So why don't we do that?
Or we would just do var.image. Yeah, that seems for the most part. We'll pass in the variable, whatever
Yeah.
variable we desire.
There you go.
The I don't think we need this liveness probe unless you have a probe on your
No, no.
application.
Yeah, that's not.
Okay.
Because I think that's default. It does it. You don't really need that.
Yeah.
It does. It does those default anyway.
Okay. So we've got a deployment. We've got the image. As in usual with Terraform, you do want to specify the variable. So right now we've got a variable app. Oops. Sorry. Here we go. We've got a
That's it.
variable app,
Yeah.
but let's do variable image type string. This is using Terraform 0.12. So what you'll see is that it is a pretty neat way to describe the different types that you're going to get beyond string. And you should put a description, because if you come back to this and you don't remember,
Yeah.
container image repository, container image and tag. Should we set it as a default to your image?
Yeah. We
Okay.
could do that. Yeah. That'd be great.
And is
It's
it
just,
tagged as
eight-
latest? I don't remember.
Matter of fact, let me try typing that for you,
Yes.
because I think I have access now.
Okay. Yes.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, this is, by the way, for those who are just tuning in, this is the first time that the live share has worked for some reason. I don't know why, but usually it's fine. And then every time we've been streaming the past couple of weeks, like, it just has not worked.
I think I can tell you why mine wasn't working
Mm.
right now, because I had your Zoom,
Oh,
screen up, and I'm trying to click on.
you were trying to click on the
Zoom.
Zoom screen. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, wait, I can't open anything. It's not working. All right, now I know why. So
Yeah. There
at
we
least
go.
I'm honest.
Exactly. All right. So we have a default. That's it.
Yep.
And there's a kind of a really, for me, this is like the most magnificent Terraform command of all. I mean, everybody can debate on this, but for me, this is my personal favorite command, and it's Terraform format. And it will automatically white space everything correctly and align it all. Yeah, I know.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is that new or
No, I know, right? It's always been there. It's always been there.
what?
Yeah, it's Terraform format. And yeah, I also know that the VS Code extension, there's some improvements that need to be made to 0.12 syntax, so it's not quite, aligning things perfectly. So if you can't get it to work within VS Code, go ahead, run Terraform format, and we'll white space, everything nicely.
Hey, you might want to run it again. I made the change.
What did it done nothing? I think it's fine because you just added to
Okay.
the end of the string. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See, I know everybody's like, no, that can't possibly be your favorite command. I'm like, actually, it is my favorite command. Okay. So it neatly organizes everything for you, which is kind of nice. And yeah, I feel like I think we can try to deploy this. It will either go really well or really poorly, but we can try to deploy this.
Yeah, I'm still getting a starting up thingy on
Okay.
my Kubernetes. So.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to try to deploy the service yet because we don't even know if this is correct. So
Right,
let's
right.
just make sure it's correct before we start doing anything to it. And just to be thorough, what do you want to name your app, Angel? So we'll just default that.
Yeah, just use I would just use Node.js, right? CircleCI dash CircleCI, just to
Dash
keep
circle
it simple.
CI. Right.
That's
And you
right.
see, this is irritating. So I'm just going to run Terraform for that.
There you go.
There we go. And it fixes it.
Wow.
I know, right? It's
I didn't even
great.
know that, to be honest. So
Yeah.
thanks for teaching me that.
But see, that's the thing. That's why this whole live stream exists, so that you can teach me
Mm-hmm.
about CircleCI,
Yeah.
and that you can learn Terraform for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
To be
so
fair, though, I mean that's nice, right, on the eyes, but
yeah,
like I don't care when I'm doing real work. Like it's like, eh. But now I know how to quickly do it.
yeah,
I like it.
exactly. And you could run it as, I guess you have to check it back in if you run it as part of a pipeline. But
Mm-hmm.
all right, so basically, I ran Terraform init, which is just to initialize and grab the Kubernetes plugin, which, as you can tell, it is on version 1.11. So I'm just going to make sure I pin that. It's better to pin the version numbers. Please do that. I beg everybody to do it because
So
it helps with.
So what? Yeah. Why would you recommend that? I mean, I don't do it. I'll be honest, and it does cause me pain. So I'm assuming you're saying that because you want me not to have that pain, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because providers themselves go through updates and they'll
Right.
change schemas, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't pin them, you'll not remember which one you actually last worked, which version of the provider it last worked with, right? So you won't be able to tell what schema changes were, what schema changes were made, what was affected.
Right.
And going forward, it will be very important to pin your provider versions, especially as we slowly deprecate support for 0.11. Some
Uh,
provider, yeah. So some providers will have newer versions, and they won't be supporting 0.11. So definitely pin your provider versions if you haven't already.
see, so I asked a valid question. Now,
Yes, valid. You always
I
ask
remember
valid
when
questions.
going through the like the 12.0 yeah upgrade. And HashiCorp, it's always right, like super hard when you're writing software. And I've done, been through this so many times in my career where you have to, if you want to get to the next level of a product, you have to kind of do these breaking changes, right? To adopt it. No one wants to do it, but it's just the part of life in software. And yeah, it's really hard to justify it. But again, in order to be modern and adopt new concepts and technologies, you have to kind of break the old stuff.
Yeah.
And I know it's as we're as a developer advocate for Circle, I hear it all the time. I'm sure you do too. Why did you do this to us? What's the point? I love the old system, but on the same token, I think it's just about moving on to the next, basically leveling up, right, with the product. And sometimes you just have to break things to
Yeah.
to take it to a new place. And yeah, sometimes those decisions aren't the best, but I think they really are required.
What's the worst version change? Like, what was the most disruptive version change that you think CircleCI went through?
Oh, when we went from version 1.0 to 2.0, yeah, because CircleCI, when they did that platform change, it literally had to be rewritten from ground up. And then that's where we introduced the containerization capabilities, right? Every time you have that version one product, it's never future proofed,
Yeah.
so to speak, right? So yeah, I think version ones are the worst, right? Like that's just uh, because you don't know when you designed it, like it could have been 5 years ago. In CircleCI's case, it was probably
Yeah.
like, I'm guessing here, but probably like 7 years into it, right? The landscape changed dramatically, and all these new technologies started kind of becoming industry standard. Yeah, so you have to adjust. And yeah, I definitely one point I was there for the 1.0 to 2.0, and we still have there's very few customers running 1.0, but they soon will be, right, fully migrated over because you can't support, especially as a SaaS product.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the economies of scale kind of tip the other way if you in the
Yeah.
red if you keep these old things around.
That's true.
For,
Yeah,
for
I
like
actually
3
found
people.
a person who ran Terraform 0.7 and hadn't updated at all for a long time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's rough. It's really, there was no way that they were going to upgrade it that
Well,
easily.
there's industries where you can't, right? Like, so like there's companies that have such stringent change policies, right? That has to go through like so many reviews. I'm hoping that this practice has changed, but I know for a fact that there's still industries and companies out there that are, they're regulated so heavily. Any little change has to go through a massive review process and compliance process, and then right approved, and then implementation could take a few months, right? So um, I feel for those folks.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. All
Uh,
right, so I guess we can
yeah,
take a
we're
look at
good.
your Kubernetes is working. That's
Yeah,
kind of
my
cool.
Kubernetes is working. I'm running the Docker for
Nice.
desktop local cluster here. So it's for those who are curious about the capability, you can go to Kubernetes, Docker desktop, etc. And basically, all it has is just a empty Kubernetes cluster. There's nothing in it except for the control plane. So what we could do, right? We could commit this change up and let CircleCI run it. But something that we were talking about earlier before we started the live stream was
Mhm.
that we don't even know if this Terraform is correct. I mean, it looks correct, but we don't know if it's correct, and it would be sort of a waste of resources for us to try to push this to CircleCI. It would be a waste of build minutes. It'd be a waste of our time to try it against the CircleCI pipeline and for it to fail. And that would be against the live Kubernetes cluster. Kubernetes is neat in that you can test it locally. So what we've done is we've created a local Kubernetes cluster, and we're going to try this Terraform configuration against our local cluster before we push it up to
Right.
our production cluster. We're calling it production cluster. We also have a production vault too. So in that case, we wouldn't be going in and changing things manually,
Mhm.
but we're able to test this locally. So let's test it locally.
Yeah, this is kind of like a unit test for Kubernetes, right?
Yeah,
You would run
only
that.
you require Kubernetes to run it.
Yeah, right. If you have on your Mac, I don't have that, but so if I were running this on my Ubuntu setup, it would be called micro Cades. Ubuntu actually, Canonical, the company that produces Ubuntu or sponsors Ubuntu, has come up with this really awesome developer platform, Kubernetes platform. It's called Microcades, and it's super easy to stand up and install, and it runs really nicely. So this is very similar. In the Mac version, Docker has a client. Um, your mileage may vary, like mine. And I'm sure mine's just as simple. I don't know. Maybe I need to do some. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with it, but after I get off of this, I will try to fix it.
Have you tried Kind? Someone in the chat asked about Kind.
Oh, never heard of it.
Yeah, it's I mean I like Kind. I do think that it takes time to create, especially when you're doing it locally. It does take some time to create, and I think the project was new for some period of time. And it works out really neatly. Usually, actually, we use. I know a number of people, like Nick, or Eric on the team, or many others, who use K3s, which is
Yeah.
which is sort of like the much smaller Kubernetes. But I actually do enjoy Kind quite a bit. I use it for actually doing higher versions of Kubernetes. A good example of this is Kubernetes on Docker for desktop is very version specific. So if you actually take a look at that, even though my client is 1.18, my server version is 1.15. So the version that's
Yeah.
part of Docker for desktop is 1.15. And most of the advanced features, were released as part of 1.16. So this is like server side apply. But then you have even higher other versions, right? That's 1.18 right now. So I like Kind. I think Kind is at 1.17 by default, maybe 1.18.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can change the versions of Kubernetes because as part of Docker for Desktop, the problem that I have with it is that it's really hard to test against different versions of Kubernetes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many, right? Like dev tools, whatever one you use, definitely run. I agree with you on that. I as a developer, right? Um, I know Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux and Git, he's pretty adamant about folks, like when should you commit? This is a conversation that people have all the time, and they argue about it as well. I pretty much agree with Linus on like, you can commit locally all day long, but pushing that code into a shared repository, you should have run it through the ringer locally, uh, just to, I don't know, it's almost like keep all your dirty work in, your scratch pad, your scratch work in your scratch pad, which is your laptop. And then, yeah, once it's all polished or as close to polished as possible, send that up.
Yeah.
So that's where I totally agree that a Kubernetes cluster locally makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, in practice, I have not been doing that lately with my demos. I've just been like, oh, I'm just going to run it on
You're just
GCP.
pushing like straight to
Yeah.
production? Oh.
No. That's a production. I'm just saying
Okay.
that I'm developing like
Yeah.
demos and stuff. No. I'm still. I've been battered. I've been around this business too long, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still the a little bit like, don't you play on Fridays? Even though I know that's changing,
Yeah.
but I'm still a little bit trained in that sense.
Well, we don't have to worry too much about this. This is a local,
Yeah,
it's a local
exactly.
cluster. For the most part, you can tell from the Terraform apply, it's just pretty much doing the defaults of what it's detecting within Kubernetes and also within the provider itself. So you'll see some things computed.
Mm-hmm.
You'll also see that here's this Node.js CircleCI. That's the image we specified. We also had a ton of little labels that we put in there just to make sure it was able to be tracked. So the app, Node.js, CircleCI, everything here. For the most part, the Kubernetes provider will work against a number of the Kubernetes versions, as long as the APIs are backwards compatible. So it will work for a number of them. It does not do server-side apply. As a heads up for those who are curious, it does not do server-side apply. So you'll see the actual diffs right here that Terraform itself is actually checking for those differences. It's not asking Kubernetes for those differences.
Right.
If you're doing server-side apply, the idea is that you would ask Kubernetes, what are the differences? It's basically the dry run capability in Kubernetes. So as you can see, Terraform is going to create this app. And
Nice.
let's see. I'm going to open another tab and we'll see if it comes up.
So I missed the part where you set the context inside of your laptop, right? To
Yes.
point to the local machine or
Yes.
the local Kubernetes. Okay.
Yeah, so by default, when you enable the local cluster on Docker for Desktop, it will set it for Docker for Desktop. Otherwise, you can set it through here. You can also use the kube context. There are a couple of other different ways that you can set it. Everybody has their own preference.
Yeah.
But here, if you're using the Docker for Desktop, you can click the drop down and just default it. Actually, but it's a good point though. So the provider for Kubernetes in particular will pick up whatever is default, right? It will pick up whatever is default in your current context, but you can set it to an explicit kube config. You can set it to an explicit, certificate, cluster name, host. And there are some examples of that. So if you decide to, let's say, pass that from another component, for example, let's say you created a Kubernetes cluster with Terraform and you want to extract the outputs of the kube config and directly pass them in here. The main difference is that you would specify this kind of load from config file parameter, and you'd have to say false, and then you can explicitly say something like host password, something, you can explicitly define those, but by default it will pick up from kube config. And we actually have another question in the chat. Do you prefer to develop applications running directly in containers, or do you prefer using the tools provided from the framework? So .NET Run versus Docker Run.
Yeah, I got to go with Docker Run on this one.
Really? So you go straight to Docker Run?
Yeah.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of, using proprietary things. I'm not sure is .NET Run. I haven't used that one, but I'm just pretty much, using the tool locally, right? So I'm just used to it, I guess.
Yeah,
What,
I do
what is
think,
your?
though, it kind of depends on the framework. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think with .NET Run, I don't tend to do .NET Run that often because it tends to take time to actually build the dependencies, and it's about equivalent to saying Docker run. So in some ways, .NET Core has made it super easy. Yeah, .NET Core has made it super easy to basically run things in containers. So in some cases, building the container and then running the application and seeing what happens is in some ways a little bit faster. Sometimes
Okay.
a little bit faster. But .NET Run, yeah, running .NET Run locally, I mean, the problem is that sometimes I just have a bunch of things that get messed up. So the dependencies are all over the place, so it makes it difficult. So .NET specifically, when it's .NET Core, I do like using the Docker container and building the Docker container for it. But for Java, for example, that's not always the case. So if I'm using Spring, like I'll just do the Java, jar. I'll
Right.
spin that up.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it's just the old like sysadmin in me that just just create. I just have one bash script that has a bunch of arguments, and it's like the same one for all of what I mean,
Yeah.
for all of my builds. To be fair, so
Yeah.
it's especially when I'm doing local.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all how I guess you do your work.
Yeah. What's
But
really interesting to me though is like some things have much improved tooling, right? So for
yeah,
example, I run .NET in a container because .NET sometimes like sort of has these nuances to running in a container, in which case I want to know right off the bat if there are any things that I should
sure,
change as part of my .NET configuration
right,
that will allow it to better run in the container. With Spring, for example, they have a ton of nice kind of frameworks for you to do it. So there's good patterns established in the tooling and automation to do it.
right.
And like your Node.js app, for example, do you write it and you go like node whatever, or did you run it in a container?
Yeah, so I usually run it locally, then I package it, yeah, then run it in a container, test it, do all the local things. And then
Nice.
I automate those. Once I do it once, if I'm going to do, obviously I'm going to do it more and more. But this simple app, right, like for this demo, I didn't put that much effort. But yeah, if I'm writing a straight up application, that's, serious application. Yeah, I do a lot of automation so that I don't have to repeat myself. And then, you make that automation as dynamic as possible. So accepting arguments and parameters, right? So that, again, the idea is, write it once, use it many times. And then sometimes I'll even build libraries, right, to to do all of that as well. And then it's like if I'm doing in Python, I'll just create a whole Python module and class it up and then
Nice.
just call it. Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
right
I
now, oh,
I
go
want to
ahead.
work smarter, not harder. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, right now this is not working. It appears that latest was not a tag that existed. So we probably want to take that away. Let me just
Oh yeah. You know
delete the
what? You're right.
application.
So yeah, just take the. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Yes, that doesn't work
Yeah.
because if you go to the config file, I could tell you. Let me just take a look at that real quick. And
Yeah. So for those who are curious, basically we attempted to deploy Terraform was kind of stuck. It just said like it continues trying, right? It's like I need to deploy this, so I'm
Yeah,
going to
because
try. And unfortunately, Kubernetes gave this kind of error message that said image pullback off, which generally means that it can't access the image. And that's because, well, we don't actually have a latest. So that's where you see this manifest unknown.
Right.
If it couldn't access the image, it would just basically say that it can't reach it. But in this case, it can't find it. So we don't have a latest for this. We had a specific build. So
Right.
I'm going
If
to...
you jump over to that config file though, I could explain why, just if folks are wondering what happened. And we could actually fix that too, but we'll do that later. So if yeah, there it is. So there's a line there, line 36. There needs to be another -t Docker without the, just all of that without the image tag. And the reason that is it will you're doing basically one tag. You're just saying, your latest has to have basically it's a default to nothing. So yeah, it would definitely be just adding it there. I thought I did and we didn't. That's why it couldn't find it, right? And we just said latest. So
that's fine.
Yep, there you go.
All right, we're going to add that there for later, but for now,
Yep.
let's just test this, make sure it works.
That's right.
All right, so I've destroyed and everything was fine. So
Cool.
let's Terraform apply once again. We've updated this with the specific image tag. And notice the apply is running. So I'm going to just say yes. And let's see what happens.
It should kick off this time.
So this is funny. This is kind of why I think the Kubernetes provider is a little bit under needs some construction. But basically, we didn't gracefully delete the previous deployment.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, I've seen that before.
yeah, not fun. I can say that maybe we will improve it.
Right.
It's definitely something that's going to get some improvement, but right now we'll delete that. And
I've actually seen that before. Yeah. Then you have to so basically the answer is you have to hard delete it with kubectl, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Which isn't fun because you have to remember what you called the application in the first place.
Well, you still have was it describe, right? So kubectl describes. So.
Yeah, you can still do a get. You can check it out, but
Yeah.
it's kind of irritating. So this is deploying once again. And
Yeah, at least it's not giving us the poo-poo.
Yeah. So what you'll see is under kubectl get pods, right? This is where you'll see the container creating.
Yay.
So it's
not ready
thinking.
yet, but it's going.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, there are a couple ways that you could watch it come up. There's the W here that will just kind of wait for it to come up. But I don't think it just sort of adds it on there. Let me just pop this up higher so you all can see that. There we go. So it's thinking. It's creating the container. I don't know if it's creating it correctly, but we'll see.
It should have come up by now.
I know. Are we even sure that this container works?
Oh, it works.
You know what? We're just going to do copy paste. I could get fancy with the selectors, but I don't really want to do that today. Okay. Let's see what's going on.
I couldn't get fancy with the selectors. I don't even know.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's pulling
okay.
the image. I think it's just because it's slow. My internet is slow.
And that's, so right, it's still grabbing. Okay. Well, at least it's still.
Yeah, I wonder what I did to this, though. I don't think I did anything too bad to it.
No. It's just, it's not that big, but if you're streaming from that machine, it's doing a lot of things.
It's got there's a lot going on right now. It's sharing Zoom too. It's, it's not fun. It's not having much fun.
Right. There's a lot going on. So.
Let's see. All right. Yeah, I could, I guess, pull this image manually, although that's not going to help anything. Do I have to resort to the second cluster we have, the stunt cluster? That's external to this?
Yeah, why not?
I think we do.
Yeah. Let's abandon this. And we already spent some time.
Yeah, I know. Well, part of this is, so for those who are curious, because there have been just internet concerns everywhere lately, I did do a stunt cluster that is
I'm so
external.
happy you did that.
I know. Yeah. So this is actually a export.
It's a DO, right? DigitalOcean? Is that
Yeah,
what you
it
said
is a
earlier?
DO cluster
Nice.
because there we go. Okay. kubectl version. Let's see. Yeah, so this is different, right? Because previously we were at 115. This is different. For those who are curious, we could also get cluster info, but then you'll see all my endpoints. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I mean,
You'll
I'll
have all
destroy it
kinds of
anyway.
yeah, but you'll still have all kinds of cool unwanted Docker images, right?
Oh, yeah,
Potentially.
definitely. Okay, so this is still doing this. We'll just ungracefully shut down. Terraform
Love it.
plan. Oh. env. Let me just make sure that it is set. No, it is not set in this one. Okay, we're gonna do this. All right. Let's see. No configuration files. What happened now?
Oh, you're in maybe the folder? Are you in the
I am in this now. Oh, it needs the kubeconfig. Darn. Well then, that's not helpful.
Oh, from right.
Okay. So here, for those who are curious, this is the documentation. So we'll need to actually do that to the file. In cluster, load config file. There is usually a config path. Can be sourced from kubeconfig or kubeconfig. Defaults to kubeconfig.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I was gonna say that.
yeah, it needs to be changed in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do that.
Well, I think if you connect to, do you have it?
Oh, I didn't connect it
Right.
into kube context. I should, but I did not.
Right, that's okay.
Oops.
I mean, that's what Terraform's for, right? To allow you to put that in a variable and then.
I know. So I did not actually create this through Terraform though. So that's what the conniption is right now. I should have done it through Terraform, but I did not. Rename. Okay, just so it's a little bit easier. Also, I don't know if it's just because the computer is slow today, but it's making it a lot harder to type. Okay. All right, there we go.
Well, you can probably turn off your Docker client, right?
Yeah, I should just turn that off. It's clearly just causing problems.
Yeah, that thing sucks up so many resources.
Huh. Oh, Terraform init. Sorry. Once you change your config path. Oh, right.
No,
Sorry.
yeah, are you in the? Yeah,
No, I'm
that's
in
what I
the
was
wrong
gonna say. You're in
directory.
the right folder.
That must have actually been why it was the problem in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying earlier.
Friday brain. For those who are
no, it's okay.
first time joining us, this is what happens on a Friday. Okay, we'll apply it. And then I am going to quit Docker desktop. Because I can't.
You got it. You can do it.
Can't. It's just not working if I like let it run like that. In retrospect, I should just pass it to you then. But wait, do you have kube config?
I do.
You have kubectl
Oh, I don't know if it's
now.
configured, but it's on my machine.
Oh, okay.
On this one, yeah. Let me see what I have. The command to see if you're, is it no, info, right?
Yeah.
No, there's not info. It's until I use kubectl
Oh,
all the
there we
time.
go. It's running now. Thank
Yes.
goodness. All right,
All
so now
right.
you know that it's running.
Cool.
Kubectl. You can also get the logs. We'll just take a look at what's in
Hmm.
there. There, it just says node server is
Yep,
running.
that's right.
Yep. Okay. So we did that. So that was the first bit. We actually deployed it to. We actually got the deployment ready, but it's not really. You can't resolve to it, right? So like right now, this is just an app running. But what if we
That's right.
wanted to access it? I guess that's the big question.
Service.
Okay. So do we need ports in here in the deployment?
Yeah, I think if you're going from 80 to 5,000, right?
Oh,
Because
sorry, everybody. I
you
just
need to
clicked share.
tell the deployment which, yeah. Can you bring up that doc?
Yeah, let me bring up the doc. Share. Let me click that. All right, here's the doc. Let me increase it. I think I'm just going to turn this back to 1080 because it was a lot
Yeah,
easier to deal with when it was
there you
1080.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we go back to, I guess we have to look at the deployment. This looks like just the provider.
Yeah. Oh, do you want the deployment of the
Yeah,
YAML?
the Kubernetes deployment is the no down in your docs, the Kubernetes deployment
Oh,
piece. That's where you would, I believe that's where we set the path to.
deployment. Well, we didn't do a liveness probe, but let's see if there is a deployment YAML somewhere. We can at least set the ports,
Well,
maybe.
in the docs, it has an example.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's what I was saying. If you could,
Pull up
the first, yeah, no problem.
this.
No, in your Kubernetes docs, the HashiCorp docs. I'm sorry.
Oh, the HashiCorp docs. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, the first tab. I think you had it. There was if you look for the deployment Kubernetes underscore deployment.
Yep, this one.
Yep. Yes. And if you scroll down, I believe isn't there one here? Scroll up a little bit.
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. No, you know what? It's the service one, right?
Well, we do have to tell it which port, right? It is available on.
No, I think not in the deployment, but in the service
Okay.
one. I
So
believe that's where.
let me scroll up and then go
Yeah.
to service. Service. There we go. Okay, there we go. So here's the service. So
Yeah, right there. So
this,
yeah.
okay.
Well, sorry. Go to spec container.
Spec container.
Yeah. Yep. It's at the bottom. Yeah.
This one. Yeah,
I-
nothing. Okay.
There is a.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. This is right then. Yeah. Yeah. This is right because
okay.
you're app selecting. Yeah. You got it.
Let's give it a try. Then we're going to take this and uncomment it because I copy and pasted it before. And so a couple things that we did differently in the service app is that, so we got the name of the app, which is fine, but we also grabbed the selector, and the selector interpolates the label from the Kubernetes deployment. So rather than say var.app, because we
Right.
don't necessarily know if it's var.app, what we're going to do instead is say Kubernetes deployment app metadata 0 labels app. So we'll pull it from the deployment itself. So port and target port. Now what do we do?
Okay. So here's I'm gonna. You got that file going, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some example one that just to jar my memory. So there was in the here, let me just put it out there for you. I don't know where the ends will be, but so in our deployment TF, you can actually in this spec container because you did your template, right?
Yep.
In the spec container, you could actually specify the ports. So let me do that for you here.
Okay.
So I was right. I don't think we need this, so we could do. Am I in the right project? No. I'm not in your project. I'm in my dumb thing here.
Pull up
Okay.
the
Yeah.
okay, let me
Kubernetes deployment
you're right
file. Here
now
we
on
go.
oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay.
All right, there you are.
So container, I just want to make sure I'm right here. So inside of container, we would need to add this.
Okay.
And yeah, I just threw a name in there, but this is okay.
Okay.
And right, that's what I was saying. So, and then in our so that looks like this looks like it will work
Okay.
based on my experience.
Okay.
And then the service piece, yes, there is a port in the app selector. I think you covered that one. And then the type is load balancer, right?
Yeah.
So let me look at that. Yep. Yeah, yeah. And then this one needs to be 5K or 5,000.
Okay.
And this should, yeah,
So
that should.
basically, the load balancer will have port 80, but the target port is to the container port, which is 5,000.
That's right. So right. So when you're building the service, we're basically telling Kubernetes we want to expose this application, and that's why it's a type of load balancer, right? So that will let Kubernetes open up a public port, which is designated here. Normally, you would do this with 443 or some secure, right? The TLS type port. But since we're just doing a demo, we are insecure, unsecure on 80. Yeah,
Or
that
you set
load
it in
that
an ingress in front of it.
yeah, right. So you should that load balancer could be uncommented. It needs to be uncommented. The
Well,
type.
we're deploying locally, right? So if you're deploying
Oh,
locally,
okay.
there's no load balancer. It will default to whatever the cluster tells it is the default. But because we're
Oh,
deploying locally, we're not really. But because we're deploying locally,
gotcha.
I'll let it resolve to whatever's local. So if you're doing test, that's the nuance I think between local testing and testing it on the live
Right, right.
cluster. Sometimes you do have to recognize which parameters are locally available versus not locally available.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot. I was like already in GCP mode, right?
it's fine. It's fine. Like, just remember before you push, just clean up the things that aren't valid locally anymore.
Right.
There are ways that you can kind of separate them and make it a little bit easier. But what you'll see here is that, there's some neat ports, so there's cluster IP, there's some things here. Let's just make sure it's able to deploy. And we also
Yeah.
changed the plan, some of the other stuff, so those will be in place. So as you can see, we did change the port, so you can see some of the port gets changed over here. So you'll see
Nice.
port get added. So let me say yes, and it will deploy. You'll notice that some of these are modifying, others will be created. So
Right.
that was pretty fast.
Yeah, it should have been super fast.
I know.
too.
So if I actually look at the pods, you'll see that it's still running. Everything is fine, but it's new.
Nice.
You can check by the age. And then I'll do get service. And now we have this Node.js CircleCI port is on 80. So for the most part, this looks fine. Yeah, for the most part, it looks fine. We can, I don't know if we want to run a test pod, the dreaded Nginx pod.
Oh, to get it up and running.
No, just to
Right.
show that it is actually, if I curl
Yeah.
I curl to it. Oh darn! Let me just use. Does anybody use BusyBox anymore? Is that still the thing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I believe that's the Alpine OS's. Yeah, it's still used.
Still used. Okay.
Yeah.
Curl. What did we call this? Node.js CircleCI, right?
Dash CircleCI, yeah.
Oh, apk add curl. Nope.
Didn't he? No.
No. Okay. You know what?
Im-
wget.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. Does this index.html look good?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So
Beautiful.
basically, what we did was if you really want to verify that things are fine, maybe what I just did was create a BusyBox image and just exec into it, kubectl. I went into it and then just curled against the endpoint. So this is the service endpoint.
Yeah, and it knows because it's locally, right? So
Yeah.
Kubernetes knows about its service. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. The trick to this, though, just to be vigilant, you do have to delete. So definitely delete them after you're done. So I'm going to delete it because there's no point in keeping it around. But after that's been deleted, this is pretty much good to go, I think. That means maybe we need to uncomment this before we push it.
Right. Well, that's where I would use like a variable too, like you do your flagging,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
In Vault and
That's
stuff.
a good idea. You
Yeah.
want to put in the flag?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Like a type. What would we call
You
that?
could say like
Service type?
var.service type. Yeah, you could do something like that. And then you could default it to load balancer, right? And you could override
Right.
it with
Exactly.
cluster IP or something.
Again, these are for me the benefits of using Terraform over a static YAML file. You can create all this infrastructure and template it up
So,
real nicely, and then reuse. So at this point, right, we would probably make a module and write a Terraform module, and then package that so that you get encapsulation. But for this example, we'll just go with this.
yeah. Terraform
Nice.
format. All right. So there's one other thing that we probably need to be conscientious of, and that is when we deploy things, right, as with Terraform, when you deploy things and you don't save the state, it has no clue or no awareness of what it should be managing, right? So that's the kind of the trick, though, with this, with Terraform, using Terraform to deploy to Kubernetes. You do have to store state somewhere. The somewhere could be pretty much anywhere. In this case, because I don't really want to set up a backend.
Yeah. You're doing local, right?
Yeah. It's just I don't really want to set up a backend or anything. So I'm just going to Terraform Cloud to do it for me because I don't feel like doing this for myself. I don't feel like setting up S3 buckets.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just going to create a new workspace. You noticed that I did have a workspace previously,
Right.
and that was for my Vault config. I keep it separate because the state of my Vault configuration doesn't need to be messing with my application state, for example.
Right. Oh, and that was one of the things, now that you're talking about that. So that was one of the interesting things I found out about providers, Kubernetes providers in Terraform. So they recommend that you keep even the provider and the deployment separate as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's two different states.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just like putting everything together, and I was stepping over. I was just like, what's going on? Then I read the docs and it says, yeah, we recommend separation of concerns there. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So
yeah.
I kind of stumbled on that the hard way, but
Yes,
this is
so
totally,
separate the cluster deployment from the application deployment.
That's
or
right.
whatever you're deploying on top of Kubernetes. Don't put them together because there's, all sorts of dependencies that are really difficult to map.
Right.
So don't do that. Just do.
Well, I
the
think what
deployment
happens
separately.
is because it's async as well. It's separations of concerns or race conditions, right?
Yeah.
So you could step over a configuration unintentionally, cluster wise, and that's So
Yeah.
reading it, I found out after the fact instead of me just again you didn't read the effing manual, so that's what happens.
But again, like it's you want to do that, right? That's the thing. You want to be able to do that, and
Right.
we're aware some people really want it to be together. And in which case, if you do and you're using Terraform Cloud, you can use something called run triggers, which basically, like, if you make a change to a Kubernetes cluster, you can configure Terraform Cloud to basically trigger the next pipeline, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of like source and
So
then
you can control your or orchestrate the Terraform commands. Oh, that's
exactly. Yeah.
interesting.
So it makes it a little bit easier. Definitely check out. There's a webinar there's a recording of it, of how you would do it. It's a really great way to at least do your Kubernetes deployments, and that way you don't have to worry about it. But
Nice.
it separates the state. So what I briefly did, so everybody was curious what I was doing, I'm pre-creating the workspace. If I just kind of left this here, it would create it for me. But the problem is, this is how we actually started debugging together, because
Yeah.
what happened was that if you do create the workspace, if you just let it create the workspace by default is set to remote. So if you
Yeah.
set it here, this
That
means
little
that it
button
executes
cost
it.
me like 30 hours of pain.
Yeah. So if you want it to just store state, which is what we're doing in this case, we just want it to store state, change it to local. So create it first, change it to local. There
Yes.
might be some opportunity in the future where you will be able to set this as a default for your organization in Terraform Cloud. But for now, you do have to go in
Right.
and you have to click local.
So can I tell them what happens when you don't change it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
so
you
the
should.
intent, so I wasn't aware of this. So I was very new to Terraform Cloud, and I figured, well, I remember getting an email, and I was like, oh, because I wanted to write a blog post about how to not store state in like AWS or some other place. So yeah, I met Rosemary at, where was it? At
Reinvent, I think.
reInvent, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to their booth and I said, hey, I'm having a time. And what was happening was my builds were running. So if you have that remote, your builds will run in their cloud in a container, which means any environment variables that you have. So if you're, like I said, I was pulling environment variables, and if I'm running it in that container, it's not going to pull down environment variables. So yeah, we were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then after reInvent, I was contacting her still a little bit, like, I don't know what's going on. And then finally, when I went through the entire Terraform Cloud UI that you just saw, I saw that little button. I was like, oh, there it is. And as soon as I clicked it to local, problem solved. But yeah, so that's true stories.
Terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, and I think I sent you a message like, hey, let's update your docs and or make that button a little more. So I had to dig. The issue was I had to dig for it a little bit.
Yeah. It was like one of those things that we bumped up in forums. We tried to like figure out I think it's actually almost at the top of the FAQ. I don't know, but at this point, it was one of those things that you just, unless you were really looking for it, you wouldn't really know what to search for.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I really do enjoy going. Like, I don't consider it as a waste of time. It's frustrating, but in the same token, it kind of reminds me that, like, you need to really dig deep and look,
Yeah.
look deeper into the system that you're using a little, and have a little bit deeper knowledge. Sometimes these things, and imagine if you're using, I won't say any names, but there's platforms out there that have tons of switches and flags like that are buried deep in the beast. Yeah.
I can sense that there's a story behind that one too.
Oh, I've been in this business over 25 years, so yeah, there's tons of
Okay.
big name brand, complicated systems.
Okay. What was let's see. Okay.
Oh, cool. We're going to do some cool stuff now.
Yeah. Well, we're actually going to finally configure the pipeline.
Yeah.
So briefly, what I'm just going in and doing, just so we have a sense of whether or not this works, is I'm going to go in and I'm going to do deploy to Kubernetes. It will be, Terraform init, and then Terraform plan. I guess we would manually, right, set up an apply, right?
What do you mean by that? Like a hold? Or
Yeah. So let's just do a plan for now, and then we'll see if this even works. If it doesn't work, we have to go back and fix it, and then we'll just keep iterating.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do this, I would just do a. We could do we can do it in here. Depending on how long. For our test, I would say do a Terraform plan for sure, and then I
Mm-hmm.
would put a an apply
Okay.
if it's successful, and then let it kick off and do it.
Okay.
And then what the next thing I would do is put a sleep in there for like 60 seconds or
Mm-hmm.
something, and then run the. No, you could do it in the same.
Oh, so
Oh
we're
wait,
just
no,
gonna.
you know what? No, you're right. That's good. So you can do like deploy, and then if you wanted to do, are you looking to destroy it as well, or run a smoke test or something
Yeah, I mean,
eventually?
ideally, we should be able to destroy it, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we just
So we
plan it and we'll see if this even
okay.
works first, and then we can apply. We'll add the
Uh,
apply in.
And then while you're doing that, I'm going to just to make this run a lot faster. I want to oh wait, they're already running in parallel. And
Yeah.
then right, okay, cool. Yes, yes, you got it. I was just looking
Okay.
at the workflow. All right.
Cool. We are good. All right. Oh, before I do anything, I need to change this to not use this explicitly. There we go. Okay. Remember, clean up when you do some local testing. Okay. Git add, git commit. We are going to call this try to deploy to Kubernetes. Okay. All right.
Well, this is GCP, the big boy.
Yeah. This is
Big
the
dog.
real this is the real thing. So CircleCI. Actually, I
Well,
have
the
it
nice
over
thing is we
here.
already have our creds coming. Well, they were coming down, so that's great. They're coming out of
Yeah.
Vault.
I don't
And
actually think that there is a Terraform Cloud token, but we can try it. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, I already have it open. By the way, that was my cluster. We can ignore that. All right, let's go back to this thing.
oh, without a with the state, we would yeah, we'd have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably have to do that. What?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, that was 1 hour ago. Did my
no.
internet confuse itself? Oh, there it is. Okay, it didn't confuse itself.
No.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, doing well.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay, so let's see. Well, this is getting pushed up now.
Yeah, I was gonna say but anyway, it's okay.
The good
It's all
news,
in our
well, it does need to push up the latest, right? So I
yes,
think it's
because
okay.
we won't be that much though.
No.
It's
So
a small image.
a couple weeks ago, someone was saying, what is dinner?" And the question, now I'm going to present the question, what is dinner going to be?
Ah.
I think it's going to be sushi today.
Ah. Oh, for your dinner. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about
Well,
that.
someone was
Right.
like pizza. Someone last week said that they're very
Oh, right.
excited
Yeah,
for
the last time. Right.
pizza.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was this big debate actually about whether or not pineapple was okay on pizza, and it was just it was
Oh, that's not good. It's
okay.
not
So you're in
okay.
the no pineapple on pizza camp.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
All right.
I
Got it.
love pineapples. I'm Puerto Rican. We love it, but I don't, not on my pizza.
No, not on pizza.
Nah. It's just the texture. Oof, the
Oh, the
texture.
texture. I would have thought it was like
So
the
nobody like
acidity.
docks me with a pineapple pizza. You will be on my poopy list for
Okay.
sure.
So it didn't like it.
Yay. Yeah.
What did it? It
Haha.
did not like the file. There was no file found.
No, yeah, you know what? You're probably
We didn't check out. Do you see a
mm,
checkout?
Right. Oh, no, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, I think we have it. Let me see the
No,
config.
did we check out the repository?
Yeah,
So as
yeah.
part of the CircleCI
Oh no, you
config,
didn't do it.
you
Yeah.
have to check out the repository in order to use anything in said repository. So
That's right.
I
We
have
forgot
to
that
check
step.
out. Because I was like, there's a step that's missing here.
And the Docker setup too, remote Docker. No, you don't
Oh,
need the remote Docker.
we
You're
don't.
good. You're good.
We don't,
No.
right? Or we do?
No.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we have steps. Yep, there you go. We missed that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. We're going to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Git add, git commit, check out repo. Push. Okay, here we go. Once again.
CD Kubernetes. Yeah, no, should be good.
Yep. All right, let's see. Well, at least it says it's failed. So out of curiosity, right now we have the tests running in parallel with Vault Auth. Would I want to ensure that running tests passes before I ever deploy to Kubernetes?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so this would
Yeah.
have to require the run tests as well.
Yes,
Okay.
we could change that to right. Yes, the deploy would also right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there would be two kind of connectors coming off of the vault auth and then the run test into deploying. Yes. So normally you would have like yeah, if you chain those together, it's just a way to speed things up because they'll
Yeah.
run concurrent.
Right.
The reason why I run tests outside of building Docker images, like let's say in my pipelines, if I were to do this professionally or for reals, as they say, it would be I like to separate all these different components out, the tasks,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really matter. So if your tests don't pass, as long as you have a step or a job, like a deployment of some sort, if you make that a dependency of that deployment, all the other things can pass and your tests don't, then that's okay, right? It's designed to just do things faster, make
Yeah.
things go faster. So I like to tend to break things out. A colleague of mine, we just had a what we call open circle session in CircleCI. So what we do is during those is we bring in experts from CircleCI, the actual company, engineers. And yesterday's talk was about optimizing your pipelines. And what we were talking about there was basically, Glenn was talking about how his baselines, like benchmark, is 1 minute. Like he wants his pipelines to run within 1 minute.
The whole
So
pipeline,
how
end to
do you
end?
do that? You have to parallel run. Like, see that where it says parallel runs? You have that concurrency running. So you could run multiple things at once. And let's say, as long as your test doesn't depend on that token, there you go.
All right, so we have to have the Terraform Cloud token in there available. Now, my question is, I know we may or may not have stored this in Vault.
Yeah.
In which case, yes, so it is stored in Vault, the Terraform Cloud token.
But I don't think
Was
you've,
indeed stored in Vault.
yeah. And maybe we didn't pull it out into the
Yeah, it could very well be that.
the pipeline, right? I don't remember doing that last
Yeah,
time.
it is in there, I think. So
In the pipeline?
yeah, I think it is rendered, but I don't think we
You
passed
assigned it.
Yeah, I don't think we passed it anywhere. So like
Right.
if we look at the Vault auth, this is why we used agent to do it, because then we can formulate the token into we can interpolate that into
Gotcha.
it. So let's see if I look at this thing. So if I scroll up and look at this, there is a root Terraform RC that's been generated. So that's good.
Well, then but which image are we using?
We're using the giant one, the custom image that I have.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
So
I don't think we attach the workspace.
oh,
Yeah, I don't think we attach the workspace.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did.
No, I don't think
At-
so.
At right there.
No, but it's not.
attach-
It's rendered at root, right?
Oh, right. I got you. I got you. So
Yeah.
you have to. I got
Well,
you.
what we
So,
could do is we could change it to temp,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then what I can do, add temp. I
Yeah, that's
think,
right.
yeah. And then what I think you can do is, as part of this step, we can probably set export. I think it's TF-CLI config, something like that. Or something, TF-CLI config, Terraform Cloud. So basically it points it to the Terraform RC that we're looking for.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
So you would
so
move that folder to. Well, can't you? No, that's all right.
yeah, so usually it would look for it at
Mm-hmm.
root.terraformrc.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that we probably don't want that there. So we can, apparently there was a TFCL, let me see, TFCLI config file, this thing. So you can specify
Oh, okay.
it. So we'll just tell it to point to
That. Yeah.
temp
Yep.
/.terraform rc. And I think you could probably set this as part of like a general, like a default set of environment variables, right? If you decide.
Yeah. You could put that in the dashboard, right? And right.
Okay.
But
Yes.
or
Yeah.
use the CircleCI API. But yeah, we can.
Yeah.
This,
All
that's
right.
good.
All right. Git add, git commit, set Terraform credentials to temp. So when you try to authenticate to Terraform Cloud, it's going to specifically direct you right to this kind of like formulaic file that it will parse some of the credential information from. So what we're doing here is we're just basically saying here's where the file is so you can parse the correct information.
Right.
So that you can authenticate. And let's hope that TFC token is correct. Otherwise, we're going to have to reissue it.
Well, did you? Yeah. I mean, right. So is that Vault calling back? Does it call back to Terraform Cloud? And
No, it does not. I
okay. So
wish it did. I wish there was a Terraform Cloud Secrets engine, which I could, yeah, I
it's
thought has crossed my mind to develop one.
yeah. Those are. But see, that's what I'm saying. It's software, right? So it has to evolve, and those are things that
Yeah,
I'm sure it's somewhere on the roadmap, and product hasn't gotten to it yet, but
I
it
don't
will.
know. I don't know. I just need one because I need to reissue my credentials constantly.
I see. So you could do some middleware action, I guess, right?
Yeah, so if we're like even going further with this, it would be kind of, you can, so Vault has a similar concept to sort of Terraform providers. That's what we were talking about last time, right? So
Right.
you have the GCP Secrets Engine, which is a
Right.
plugin that allows you to kind of authenticate and rotate tokens. And it would be kind of nice if we had a secrets engine for Terraform Cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way I could get my own token through
Every
Vault.
time.
Yeah, and Vault would be able to do it for me rather than me statically issuing the API token.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Of course, like these are things are exposed later though. I mean, Terraform Cloud's fairly new, right? As far as like general availability, I
Yeah.
recall just a few months ago. Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah. So it's, there are some things that we're learning in terms of like how do you
Yeah.
work with a SaaS. So but it's been interesting. So I'm
Before that, it
excited for
was
it.
Terraform Enterprise, right? So it was only available to folks that were using enterprise level. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So now,
Yay, we got something maybe,
yeah,
hopefully.
we'll see if we get something. If we can just
Yeah.
do a plan and then we'll put the apply auto approve in there. But you could, I guess, do like a manual approval. I guess you would wait for a manual approval and then you could do the Terraform apply.
Well, so yeah, I have this concept of smoke testing. So what I mean by that is I like, I give a talk on increasing app confidence. And one of the things is in your CI/CD pipeline, you should be able to at certain stage, like I wouldn't say every time, but if you have a step where you want to,
Yeah, it's reissuing it. Okay, hold on.
no worries.
We're going to reissue my API token for a
Okay.
second.
Hide your screen if there's any sensey.
I'm gonna hide it so that
Yeah,
no one can touch it.
that's right.
Okay, hold on. Uh,
But anyway, what I was saying was, yeah. So, what was I saying?
smoke testing.
Smoke testing, right? So the idea is, I have a pipeline that when I'm ready as a developer to, like I said, it's all polished up, ready for at least a review. Package the app, and then there could be a step where you put a tag in, and then in CircleCI you have these concept of filters where you could say, hey, if I tag a branch as like let's say Kubernetes ready, or test Kubernetes, or smoke test deployment or something. Anyway, the idea is it would go ahead and do the builds, right? Build the Docker image, all that stuff, and then use Terraform to the infrastructure as code, like we're doing now, to create, provision a new cluster, deploy that application into that cluster, and then run a battery of really quick smoke tests, like OK200s, check for some 404s, or all kinds of quick tests, just to put a little bit of more confidence on that release, and some knowledge to it, like, hey, this thing actually ran in a GCP, that's target environment, in a GCP GKE cluster, in a Docker container, in a pod. And that's what I would use that for. And then I would not use the manual step for that, right? Like, because then you can set a destroy command, right, to kill all of the infrastructure. And then again, it's just another confidence building kind of test inside of your pipeline.
Yeah, that's fair. So
Yeah.
basically, you're saying let's just continuously deploy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's, again, it depends on your business, right, and the regulations and compliancy requirements that you're running under. Sometimes, you know what, you need like 4 sets of eyes on this thing before it goes. It could be, a medical application, and I know in the healthcare industry especially, if you're releasing software, that's going to be used by your customers, and it's a very life-threatening type situation, very risky. There's a whole board of doctors that need to kind of run through this, at least get a couple sets of eyes on it, and okay, so it makes sense, and depending on the industry. But if you're like, I don't know, just shipping shoes or something, I don't know, I wouldn't think it's that bad. But then again, maybe it's more important than than someone's health. I don't want to get between anyone and their shoes.
It's important.
I have a couple friends that are like super into sneakers, and yeah, I think they would probably
They would be upset.
yeah, even more upset than their health, like getting a shitty health report or something.
Oh gosh.
So
in case anybody was wondering why these might take so long, it's because I have a giant image that just has everything in it, that is all purpose and is not optimized for pipeline running.
Well, there's also like tweaks you can do here too. See, this is running a Docker Medium, which is what we give away for free in the free tier. If you were paying, if I was paying for this, then I could increase the performance, or the what we call it's the best Friday.
Yeah.
We have a name for this. The resource class. So
Okay.
get a bigger machine, get bigger pipes, right? And you should be able to do things a lot faster.
It works.
It did? Nice.
Yeah. Well, it plans. So let's, you're saying auto approve apply, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. That's great.
If we were not auto approving, you would put that manual step in there, but.
Well, let's do this too while we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put a destroy command too. Yeah.
Oh, at the end of it?
Well, yeah. So like, let's. You have auto approve.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And then I would just do another command.
I think.
Or another job, right? A destroy job.
Okay.
Or do you want to just? Yeah, if you wanted to, you could do a.
Come on. Oh boy.
You are running tons of stuff on that thing. Huh?
I don't know. It's just not cooperating with me today. Oh
Here.
no.
Why don't I do this? Why don't I jump on it and
Yeah, you should dump on
instead of
this and
telling
do
you,
this.
I could just help you
Yeah,
with
you
it.
could please do this because
Yeah.
this thing is just not happening today.
So what we could do is here. I'm in the right one. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. Oop. So we could do like run, and then name, and then we'll just call this destroy infra, or Kubernetes is what we.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then from here we can say, and we'll give it a pipe just to multi-line it. And then from here we can just say something like sleep. What do we want to do? Like 3 minutes? Is that good? 5 minutes maybe? Nah, that's too long. 3 minutes. Give us. Oh, wait, 3 minutes. And can I do an M? Is it M?
I
or-
mean, I think, is there a way that maybe we could persist just the kube config and the Terraform token and then just basically do this like separate pipe, separate fan out that says like destroy, and then we just destroy it when it's, or after it deploys and we just say destroy. So we don't even need the sleep.
Oh, you want to do? I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. You want to? All right. Let me just grab this.
Yeah,
Then.
like a completely separate job, not a step. but
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
completely
You're
separate
right. You're
job.
right. That's what I thought I was doing, but yeah, thanks. All right. Deploy. No, you want to call it destroy.
Yeah, destroy application, something like that.
You won't say kill. Wait, underscore. Are we doing
No.
underscores? All right.
Yeah,
And
we're
then,
doing underscores, I think.
We'll just do Kate's, right? What the hell, right? Typing all that. It's the whole point of that thing. Then,
Yeah.
do you know what? Let me just paste this stuff here. I'm not going to type your long.
Yeah, I know it's a very long version name,
It's
but it's
okay,
just to
it's okay.
ensure that I have it all correct. And
We need to get all this too, right?
yeah,
Or-
all of, well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
we don't
because-
need the G Cloud because I persisted the root cube config. So,
Okay, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we need to persist temp, I think, as well.
Okay.
Yeah, or something.
So let me just. All right, and then. Oh boy. All right, so let me just look here. I got the Docker image set, step checkout, and then we'll do this. Did I get that too?
Yeah.
I did. All right, great. And then this is off here. This is where I'm off. And then we need to do a shift tab. Yikes.
Yikes.
It's all off today. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I could
It's okay. You got it.
lock it or somehow. I guess that's not going to help anything.
And then we need to do the persist to workspace. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think they probably, again, like maybe you do want one specific place that you're putting things. We're just going to kind of keep it, is there a way that I can persist like the temp Terraform RC?
Oh, yeah.
If
I think you just create. Wait, so you're persisting this to root cube config, right?
Yeah, so I'm persisting the kube config and I'm persisting the Terraform RC. So the Terraform RC has already been persisted. So does that propagate the next time I persist? Or does the new persist overwrite the old persist?
Good question. Let me
Oh.
see. Let me take a look on the docs real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, because the reason why we're going through this is like if, let's say I already persisted the temp Terraform RC, is there a way for me to just add the root cube config on top of that rather than say like, let me just reattach everything?
I'm just want to be sure about that. I don't really use that persist mechanism too much.
I mean, we could also re-auth again, and then, but the kube config, we'd still have to, write, or we'd still have to re-retrieve.
So it says here, glob, identify files or non-glob path to a directory that add to the workspace, interpret as relative workspace. Root must not.
I don't think it's actually that bad to re-authenticate to GCP.
Yeah.
I feel like we can just redo this whole step at the top again. We do need to re-authenticate to GCP anyway, I think, because the token, the OAuth token from GCP, that is granted, GCP's GKE works a little bit differently.
Right.
It uses an OAuth token. So that OAuth token's lifetime, if let's say we waited for even longer, maybe we just want to keep that, we just want to make sure. So yeah, I think let's do that. And then I'll pop the steps here. So we still need to persist, once again, attach it to the workspace. We'll do that. We don't need this root kube config. We'll just persist we'll attach the existing persisted one to re-authenticate against GCP again. And then that way we can run a Terraform destroy. And I think that should be fine. And then it will just re-init. I think you could keep some of the Terraform cached stuff, right? Like I could also persist that. But,
I see what you're saying. Right.
So we just redo this part.
But you already have, that saving state to, if you were running that locally, right, you could save that state.
Yeah. So if I'm running this locally, the state would remain the same, right? So nothing would change here.
Well, if you persisted it in the workspace.
Yeah.
So actually this is better. Yeah. This is actually right. Yeah. We would have been.
So we'll re-authenticate to Vault to basically retrieve this, service account, not to Vault, sorry. We'll re-authenticate to Google to retrieve the Kubernetes config. You could store the Kubernetes config in Vault. You could set up, a couple of different ways, but we're just going to do it this way for now.
Is there no one chatting? I feel like I'm logged in, but I'm not seeing it.
No, I think it's a quiet day. I actually think it's very quiet today.
Someone sent a message. Let me know you're out there. Please.
I think it's a quiet day today. All right. How do I do manual approvals? Cool. So that we can actually access the load balancer with this thing. Oh, yay. Hi. That's Melissa. Okay.
I don't see one. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Solution geek. I like that.
Yeah. What was a manual approval? Approve, destroy. I'm going to put that there because I don't want it to destroy quite yet. I want to actually be able to see that it's working.
Oh, so you want to just click a button instead of sleep? All right, cool.
Yeah. I mean, because I want to actually see, I want to get ready to destroy it when I'm ready to destroy it, right? I don't want to just.
Yeah. I think it's you have to do a hold. Let me grab that for you. It's a hold. So I'm always just continuous. I'm all about it.
I think there's a merit to continuously deploying, but to continuously destroying, not so much. So.
Well, right. Like I said, in the context that I use it in, right, it's just for testing and I don't really care. But yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in the test headspace.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all that, but yes, I agree. Like I said, there's always, I'm trying to find the damn hold. I want to make sure I give you the right.
Yeah. I think what's important to consider for those who are looking at this and saying is this a canonical pattern or approach? It is definitely one pattern and approach. And I think that they're, depending on sort of the approach that you take, some of these steps could differ and some of these could change. We're still securely passing the secrets. We're still securely passing and authenticating and managing the secrets through Vault. The trick is with this destroy piece. Keep in mind that Destroy could mean that you never do it, or destroy could mean that it's a dev environment that you do every single day. And in which case, you have to figure out the time to live for your authentication such that you're able to destroy on the cadence that you're looking for. So it could very well be that this pipeline doesn't have a destroy step at all. It could just be you always deploy to production and only certain people can destroy it. And that could be sufficient for the exercise, and it could be representative of the pattern that you would take deploying to production. But if you're doing this in dev and maybe you expect to destroy this application multiple times a day, well, you can set a time to live for some of these secrets to a very small window, and then they'll expire, they'll be revoked, and you won't have to worry about it after that. They'll just be reissued each time. Versus a long destroy, you have to wait for the time you might destroy after the time to live has expired. Do we figure it out?
Yeah, I got it. So basically what we need to do is, it looks like we have a jobs, and then we need to build a hold, right? And I'll add that.
Okay.
And it'll require, obviously, right, excuse me, it'll require the other bit, the creation. So let's see, I need to put a hold. Let's put it in between these two just to have some clarity. I believe it is, well, wait a minute. I think that's the wrong place. Now that I'm thinking about it. All right, so let me double check here. Just want to be sure that I get this right. Yeah, so the build deploy job and then jobs. So we have, right, and then, okay. So we're going to have to add it in our, where's our jobs list here? Just want to make sure I'm getting this correctly. This is not right. Sorry, I'm still looking this up. That doesn't smell right. what I'm looking at right now is not good. So let me go back. There we go. Okay, so yeah, it's still giving me the bad one. Come on, where's my
I can't use
example?
type approval.
I'm trying to get that for you. Again, I don't even have an example of it because I remember like 2 weeks ago I had one and
Okay.
it wasn't working properly because of the change, and
Okay.
I never really went back.
I'm guessing it's this because I
What's that?
vaguely remember it, but I don't completely remember. I think it's this like type approval.
Oh, you know what? You're right. That's actually right. That's right. There you go. All right. It's
Yeah.
in the workflow. My bad.
And what's really neat is I can actually test and
Yep.
see if this is right by CircleCI config validate. It will tell
Yeah.
me, oh no, it didn't like something.
Good job.
Jobs deploy to K8s. Expected type string found mapping. Huh? Extraneous
that?
key. Oh, wait. Is this the hierarchy wrong? Is that the problem? Oh yeah, the
so hold on.
hierarchy's wrong.
You have
Hmm.
no. No. That requires this one here needs to be the one that this one deploy, I think.
Well, because we want to only destroy it after we approve destroy, right? Otherwise, it will just destroy it immediately.
I think the way it works
Yeah.
is,
Oops.
yeah.
I think it passed now. I think we accidentally put the destroy K8s 2 indents in.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got
it
you.
was the indentation because YAML.
YAML. So it passed. Oh, good.
Yeah, it did
Yes,
pass.
that is a good thing you brought that up. Yeah, there is a CLI tool that will help you at least validate the formatting of it, of your config.
Just because for, completion, we did say that we would have to depend on the test
Yes,
before we
that's
deploy
right.
K8s. Git, commit, add, destroy. Oops.
Yeah, I had an example of this approval, and I remember it's like I
Somewhere.
ripped it out from some other project, and I just was like, I never use it because I've been doing a lot of smoke test demos and stuff. So.
Yeah, I feel like you should put the smoke test in here sometime.
No, yeah, definitely. Right. Well, that would be at the end of one of these bad boys here. That's where I use that sleep command, right? And
Yeah.
then,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Do you have a smoke test written for this?
Actually, I do. I have to dig it out from somewhere. I know I have it somewhere. Yes,
Okay.
I would, but not for this. But I
Yeah.
could.
No, if anybody who is curious, the repository we've been using, um,
It's mine. I can post it in the
yeah.
the.
If you could drop it in there, there's a branch
Yep.
called Vault, and you can take a look at that. There's like there's a Terraform, bunch of Terraform in there, and there's some Vault
Yep.
config, Vault agent, Vault app role, so you can see it end to end.
I'm actually probably gonna, after this is the third one, probably the last one, right, with our vault
The trilogy, finishing the
demo.
trilogy.
Yes, we have completed. Then we're gonna do the prequels. But now let me
I don't
grab
know what the
that.
prequels would be, to be honest. Maybe deploying Vault, actually deploying Vault,
We're gonna like have them in like the files in exposed, the secrets exposed in a file, and like get arrested for
gosh.
something.
No.
No,
Please no. By
I'm
the way, for
kidding.
those who are laughing about this, us in this Vault instance, we have deployed this Vault instance 3 times, and it's new every time. And
That's right.
no, we did not manually go in and set it all up because it's automated.
I can attest to that because Rosemary, every time I go to, oh wait, what happened to that? Oh, I took it down, or she'll let me know, hey, this is dead. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I just
No.
had your commit. There it is. Ah, so terrible. All right, let me make sure this is the right branch. Yeah, you add destroy.
Yeah, add to destroy.
Nice.
It's sitting here. It's just now deploying to Kubernetes. We'll see if it actually deploys to Kubernetes.
It will. We have to do it. I'm willing to stay as long as you are. Here we go. That's all the repo there. So
Oh, so we had a question.
oh,
So thank you for watching us, and we're glad you joined us midstream. We're still happy that you joined us. The auth is the Vault cluster running in GCP. I'm curious to see how you set it all up. Yeah. So actually, I use it's a Kubernetes cluster, and it's Vault on Kubernetes.
all right.
If you're curious to see what I did to set it up, I have a repository that uses the Vault Helm chart, and it sets up the GCP storage backend, HA mode, and it also does the auto unseal. So if you're curious, you can take a look at this repository. It's just a quick way for me to create a Kubernetes cluster. It's not anything not anything complicated in sort of the setup or in the dependencies, as much as just it's making sure you have the right config. So for those who are curious, I actually have this Vault Helm module that I wrote to make it easier and to expedite it. So what it will do is actually deploy it, and you can also initialize it. So this is actually the script that I set up to actually basically deploy, run it, and then I'll initialize and unseal it. Auto set it up to auto unseal. So if you're interested in the module itself, the module is in. It's this module. Let me see. Terraform.io/ Let me see if if it will pull up today.
Hey, this is deploying to Kubernetes.
Yay!
At least it's that's what the standard out's telling me. So, nice.
Yay! It is
And
deploying. Whether or not
I
it's successful.
that's gonna do it.
It's going to do it? Are you sure?
It's gonna do it. Yeah, it's not messing around. So yeah, I think I have a coworker watching. Yeah, yeah, it's him.
Oh, yeah?
How you doing, Ed?
Well, it's either spinning up or not spinning up. We'll see. So I've got a Kubernetes cluster here, and we can take a look at the workloads. Let's see.
No, we're good. Yeah, these things. I mean, it takes a few. If you, yeah, you know. You
Oh,
can check them.
no.
What?
I need a bigger cluster.
What?
I don't think this cluster is big enough. Oh, image pull backup. Oh, is it because it's using latest? No, it should be fine.
No, that should be fine.
Does not have minimum availability. One updated, one
How many-
ready, one unavailable. Huh.
How many did you put? I usually go with 3 nodes. Did you use one or?
I don't know.
I think we only
don't
had one in-
remember. Maybe I only had one node in my cluster.
I think so.
No.
Yeah, there's your master, your control planes told you to go to hell.
This
Oh.
is.
I don't. Yeah.
No, it's 5. It has 5 on it.
Ah.
There are 5. So what is this thing doing? I don't know. It deployed. It just maybe it didn't retrieve latest. Could that be the case?
I don't even know what that means. Image pullback. There. Well, let me go to Docker Hub and see that. There should be a latest. I mean, Here you go. That's another reason why you should pin, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. Hub.docker.com. I want to end this on a good note, so
Yeah,
if you
I
can
know.
stay on, let's plow through.
Let's wrap it up. Let's see.
Yeah,
Okay.
6 minutes ago.
I see image pull back off. So
I don't see a
scribe.
latest though. Let me see all the
Hold on.
tags. Hold on.
Maybe we should pass the tag explicitly. Pulling image, failed to pull image, latest not found. Yeah, latest is not found.
Did we committed that?
I think we did, but it doesn't get the second tag. I think the problem is we probably need to push this, second tag separately. Like it can't just be built. We have to do Docker tag.
Hold on a sec. Let me see how I have it on this other deal here. Because I do this all the time and I never. Let me see. It might be that it has to go first, Rosemary.
Okay, you want to make the change?
Yeah, I can do that. Let me just do that real quick.
Unless I have a different Docker version, which also is the case on this machine or on this image.
Well, I'm sorry. Can you undo something? Oh, yeah, no, you don't have to undo anything. I screwed this up. Wait, so am I undoing your work?
No, go ahead. I'm not doing anything.
Oh,
There we go. It just wasn't showing up.
all right. Can we redo? I'm sorry. It's a little laggy on my end. I did a lot of stuff, I think. Yeah, just take that the one without the tag colon tag environment variable and put it to the front.
Okay.
And that will create like the latest one and then
Okay. So colon tag build that. Okay.
right. And then let me make sure.
All right. Just to make sure, because this will keep running. And this is what I'm talking about with this whole.
Yeah, that's why like when I do sleeps, I destroy it and then But if you I don't know, you'll.
Yeah. Well, if we cancel, the problem is that if we cancel, it's not going to gracefully stop. So.
Right. Exactly.
So we will have to go and remove it anyway. So if you were doing this just be conscientious. You do have to remove this. The other option, I think that would probably make a lot of sense to do. Again, I think it's partly the provider, improvements to the provider itself, which are upcoming. But, part of this, delete, deployment, circles.
Yeah, that'll work too.
kubectl get deployments. Yeah, there are some timeouts that I think you could also set as well.
Right. Deploy.
Okay. Okay, that should be clean. So so this should be working, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let me commit this. Commit build latest. What you could do is you could also pass this Docker login image tag through, and you can put it as a variable, a Terraform variable as well. So that's at least the idea, is that you could pass in, if you parameterize your variables file for your Terraform, which is what we did before,
Right.
you'll actually see that.
Well, in most cases you wouldn't use latest.
Yeah.
You would, but it's easier for this. Well, we should have probably just statically done it. What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? What is for dinner for you? Now I'm curious.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I was gonna grill. I do a lot of grilling, but not today. It's just too late, and that's okay. Let's see. So, yeah. In all the other examples, I use the Docker image name, and I always build like that. So.
Well, again, it could be my image with Docker. It just could be
wait, but you know what? You know what it is? I know what it is.
What?
Shit, stop that.
Why? What happened?
I think I know what happened with our previous problem was the last line. I just want to make sure I'm in the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so the reason is this. We're pushing that.
Where? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hold
And
on.
I
So let me
think-
stop that. Cancel workflow. Don't do anything. Okay. It has been canceled, which is good.
Yeah. So get rid of that tag piece, and then we're good to go.
Okay.
Because what'll happen is it'll send up that build, the regular latest build, and it'll have that information with it. So yes, this was right. The problem was the push, the thing we're pushing. We're not pushing a latest. We are pushing just that tag.
Push latest.
Okay. Well, it's the one without anything, right?
Yeah. This is the
Okay.
one without anything here.
Yeah. No postfix.
Yeah. So this is why we push on Fridays. All right. So I guess as we come to the conclusion of this trilogy, I think if you watch the 4 hours prior to this and then the 2 hours of this, you get the end-to-end idea of how you would securely inject secrets into your pipeline and use them to deploy to your orchestrator of choice. In this case, we're using Kubernetes. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely. This was again, the whole, this all came about because I was just curious about how I could leverage, HashiCorp Vault or a secrets management tool to basically protect keys and also dole them out, right? So one of the other the nice benefits of using a tool like this is we can eliminate just saving passwords in your organization, maybe among your teams, in spreadsheets and other tools, right? That's one of the other kind of benefits of using that. But it's definitely cool to use these tools to rotate secrets and generate them as well automatically, right? Obviously, it takes a little bit of work to get it going, but that security should be painful to get up and running. And I think it's just that much painful to kind of hack things too, right? So,
Yeah. Well, the thing
layers.
is, once you get this pattern once, you now have the
Right.
boilerplating to do it for many other pipelines. and maybe you sort of standardize on this pattern too.
So I'm watching the build. We're close.
No, sorry, it's locked. Hold on, let me unlock it. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's just locked because it thinks there's another execution to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is what Terraform will do. It will lock state.
Mm-hmm.
You can
But
go in.
You're unlocking it in the cloud, right?
Yep, I'm unlocking it in the cloud.
Sorry, I'm not watching the Zoom.
Oh.
Yeah, you're doing it live. Okay. Awesome.
Oh, no. Locking. Force unlock. Force unlock. There we go. The good news is I can just rerun this from failed. So.
Yes.
Oh no, it will not do that. Is that because I need to refresh it? Hold on. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rerun from failed. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So basically, if multiple people are manipulating state, right? There's this idea of state locking in Terraform. So Terraform Cloud does that. You can tell it to unlock it. You can go to force unlock and unlock it. So this is just getting rerun. Let's see.
Yes, we don't have to build the image again.
I know. Yeah, we don't have to in this case. I guess in terms of like making it faster, I guess you could vault auth. You could selectively vault. Use Vault CLI to grab the secrets that you need for each stage. Yep. Right now, we're just sort of doing it all in batch because we weren't sure what we needed and what stage and how. So, yeah.
Maybe that's part 4. No, just kidding. Doing it in the CLI now.
I don't know. All I can say is like, it's kind of. By the way, for those who do want to see not a part 4, but another interesting exercise, it happens at, I guess it would be like very, very early in the morning, actually in the middle of the night. I guess it would be like 3 a.m. Pacific. But to this Twitch channel, there's HashiCorp, it says HashiCorp does Minecraft. So Nick and Eric, who are DAs for HashiCorp, have been streaming and they are working on how to use the HashiCorp tools to create Minecraft constructs and such. So, nice. Yeah, if you're awake and you feel like watching something, definitely check out, tune in at, I guess it would be 3 a.m. Pacific, something like that. And you will be able to watch them deploy things. You can also watch the playback. There's actually some replays as well that are available on this channel. So you can watch them frolic in Minecraft and do all sorts of things. Oh, look. Yay, it's been added. It's done. We did it. All right.
Refresh.
And you'll see if this works because my internet is slow today. Yeah, so you'll see that it is up and running, which is kind of nice. And we can also see the services.
What? Yeah, let's try that endpoint.
Yeah, watch this just not work.
It's going to work. Stop it.
Oh, no. Hold on. I need to go like this. I think I need to just copy it like this.
Yeah, I usually use Terraform to output that for me.
Oh, yeah. That's usually you would just...
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Oh, look.
Yay.
We got it.
We did it. This is it.
We
so
did
happy.
it. I know.
Wow.
All right. Well.
Amazing.
That's that, right? I guess we can say we conclude.
That is a wrap.
That is a wrap. It's been fun to learn to learn all the nuances of CircleCI and debug. That was pretty entertaining.
Whoa, wait, we still have one more step.
We have to destroy it, right? I'm destroying it.
You did it. All right. Now let's watch this bad boy go down.
Yeah, no. Thanks all for who tuned in and who hopped into chat and encouraged us and gave shout outs and stuff.
Yeah.
Appreciate the support as we rip our hair out on a Friday trying to do this.
No, you did great, Rosemary. Actually, you drove pretty much the whole time. I appreciate your knowledge, especially in the prove process thing. I was like, wait a minute, I haven't used that thing in a while. But that's okay, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's
watch.
reality in
It's
how we work in
destroying.
our normal
It's
jobs.
destroying it. All right.
Yes.
So I think it's gone. It's now destroyed in the course of 33 seconds. All of our work over 6 hours collectively
Yeah.
has gone. So,
This was awesome. Thank
yeah.
you, Rosemary. I
Yeah.
really learned a lot from you, and I really appreciate it.
No,
And I
I
look
learned
forward
a
to
lot
doing some
from you
other things
too.
with you
I
in the
know.
future.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll find out another stream, another thing to partner up
Oh, yeah,
and
for
we'll
sure.
definitely hack it through. So thanks for those who have been joining us very
Yeah.
diligently.
Thank you.
The next stream, I think we will potentially have someone who is very security minded, who's going to teach me JavaScript because I am very, very terrible. I'm absolutely terrible.
Why
at
would you
JavaScript.
want to do that? No, I'm just kidding.
It's good to learn. So we'll probably do a little bit of security and JavaScript.
Yeah.
So for those who want an intro to it, it will be sort of intro level. So.
I'm gonna tune in for sure. So
Okay,
that's gonna be awesome.
that's awesome. All right, all have a great weekend.
Thank you.
And thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks.